Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Monthly Comic Roundup. Let me just stealthily remove my keyboard. I am Super2. Joining me today is the Vacuuminator.
Ranger T is a weak, punk-ass bitch motherfucker, and I don't respect him.
Okay then, that's a perfectly normal and not insane way to start a live show.
Watch my latest video to find out what that's about. I had to fucking sign up for ADT because of that guy. I can't even pronounce it right now. I had to sign up for it. I'm paying like $50 a month to keep him out of my house.
Wow, that's okay. Sure. Yeah. Everyone, I apologize if you see me like looking down at my phone, but due to the way we're doing stuff, I want to be able to monitor chat, and the only way I can do that is my phone. So anyway, this is a shit show of a beginning to the Monthly Comic Roundup, but it's what we're doing. Anyway, I had an issue with a live Google Hangout last week, and the full stream didn't save for whatever reason, so I'm just being a little cautious. So if this looks really weird and you can see like the little live icon right there, or maybe it'll end up over here or something, I'm sorry, it's the best I can do. Anyway, so we're here to do the best, worst, and best cover books of July 2018. Little further behind than we like to be, but hey, we made it happen.
Yeah.
We're cool.
Yeah.
Vac, do you remember who went first last time?
I actually checked to see this time, and you went first last week.
Okay, well, let's continue that awesome tradition. No, I'm kidding. Why don't you start us off this month?
Okay, so my pick for the first week of July is Go-Go Power Rangers number 11. This was an incredibly eye-opening issue for me because I've been kind of iffy on this whole Shattered Grid tie-in the book has been doing, where it's the Rangers in the past dealing with the Ranger Slayer, who is the Drakenverse version of Kimberly. And we don't really, until this issue, we didn't really know what exactly was going on with this character, if they were like actually working for Draken, or they were a double agent, or some kind of crazy thing like that. And finally, we find out it was Kimberly under Draken's sort of mind control spell, like Rita did to Tommy way back in Green with Evil. And we actually get to spend some time with this character when she's not being evil in this issue. And I think I'm super hyped for Margaret Bennett on Mighty Morphin now, just because of this character. Like, there's this moment, or rather this scene, where they're all just kind of taking a breather, figuring out what to do after everything that's happened in the last couple issues. And our version of Kimberly and this alternate version of Kimberly decide to go to the Juice Bar, which is the hangout from Power Rangers. It's where most of them spend their time when they're not at school. And it's just this really fun scene that's also really kind of getting at the core of what these books themselves are about, is getting to go back and relive a part of your childhood and see what it's like from an adult's perspective. Is kind of what Drakenverse Kimberly gets to do here, and it's really touching and really neat. And hey, Ian, anybody who's going to read Margaret Bennett on Go-Go, I would highly recommend this issue too, just to prime you on this character who's going to be leading the team she has set up for that book.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. I might have to pick that up. If I have a light week this coming week, I might see if that's still on the stands. I'm sorry, you just kind of distracted me because you said like the Power Rangers spend their time at the Juice Bar, and that made me think of Clockwork Orange and the Milk Bar. And now I really want the Clockwork Orange versus Power Rangers story.
Yes.
Oh man,
that would be the most insane crossover ever, but I'm ready for it.
Alex could take the Green Ranger. Bet. Oh man. No, that does sound really interesting, and I'm excited because I don't know anything about the universe, and I think Margaret Bennett is such a a talky writer. She loves writing dialogue, like really long stretches of dialogue, that it'll be interesting to see how she tries to get people, the quote unquote new reader, which will be me, into the book. And so I'm like kind of curious to see what setup there will be, and I'm kind of curious to see just how much legwork she's gonna have to do just to get me to care. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and take over, and I'll talk about my book for the first week of July, which was, of course, July the 4th, and that will be Captain America #1. We had a Captain America issue come out on July the 4th. That was pretty crazy. Yeah. Part of me is picking this just because of the Alex Ross cover, because Alex Ross doing a wraparound cover is gorgeous.
Oh, so I want that poster.
Right? Like every issue of this run is going to be a poster as long as Ross is doing the covers. But also, this is the beginning of Coates' run, and even though issue 2 I had some problems with, I do really like some of the direction that Coates is going with. I was not a fan of what Coates was doing with his Black Panther run. I read the first couple issues of that, and just it really didn't work for me because I didn't like his voice for the character. But having an ultra critical look at a society using Captain America seems very appropriate. This is, of course, like interestingly going right off of the Spencer run, the whole Secret Empire and all that. I guess we're just pretending that Wade's run didn't happen, which would seem a little ass backwards to me.
That, or it's going to be like Iron Man after Civil War, and for the next few years, we're just stuck in, Captain America did a bad thing, and people don't trust him now.
Yeah, and so Coates is definitely dealing with a lot of that. A lot of the, too much trust was put on me and yada yada. So this one, it's going into a lot of the same stuff as you would expect, but I don't know, it's doing it in an interesting way that's kind of deconstructing and dealing with patriotism in a divided country. And I think that's not necessarily a story that I need to read, but it's a story that I feel some people need to read, and it has some interesting ideas for people to play with there. It's one of those situations where I think the person that it's written for is definitely not going to read it, but hey, who knows? Maybe they'll see the Alex Ross cover and just happen to get a little bit of wokeness in them.
Yeah, I read that. I thought it was pretty interesting and like doing all the stuff a Cap book should be doing right now. But like my kind of Captain America is more the kind of Captain America that was going on in the earlier part of Wade's run. So I'm not super interested in reading any more of that, at least until it's in trade.
That's fair. I think that's totally fair. It was just an interesting run, new #1. I don't know if I've talked about this on this show, but I really like what Marvel's doing with the new legacy numbering.
Oh yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, as opposed to renumbering every week. So it's #1, but it's really number 705. Stuff like that's really cool. I like that little touch.
It's a nice way to have your cake and eat it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and go on to your next book, sir?
Okay, so my pick for week 2 is a indie book called She Could Fly. This is the first issue. Have you heard anything about this book, Ian?
Not a word.
Okay, well, this is by Christopher Cantwell, who Roger Books. Their logo looks almost exactly like the Dark Horse logo, so I keep wanting to say it's a Dark Horse book.
That's a little much, guys.
Yeah. But he's apparently a co-creator of AMC's acclaimed *Halt and Catch Fire*. Never heard of that show, but this was utterly fantastic. I think everyone has that book that they read in their life that they're like, this is literally just about stuff I think about but don't ever want to talk about. This is that book for me. It's about a character who is clearly suffering from all kinds of anxiety and depression and potential anger management issues. She's seeing her school counselor every day and not even really talking to anyone at school. She's just kind of walking down the hall repeating this, I forget what the actual term is, but like a safe word you have if you're a mentally ill person that kind of keeps you comfortable. She keeps just going rubber ball, rubber ball, rubber ball as she's walking down the hall, just looking at the floor. And whenever somebody does something nice for her, she has like these sort of, I don't want to call them like visions or fantasies, but she has these like moments where she thinks through, what if I just became extremely violent right now? What if I just kicked the crap out of this person because I'm a bad person and I would do this? No, I'm not a bad person. I can't do that. And the only thing that's keeping her from actually snapping is there's a person who's been appearing in the sky lately, seemingly flying of their own accord. This is a universe without superheroes, but there's just somebody who's able to fly around, and nobody knows who it is, if it's a government thing, what's going on. All there's just like amateur phone footage of this person that's been shown on the news. And the impetus for the story is towards the end of this issue, that person explodes in midair, like violently and gorily dies while flying. And our main character sees it on the news, and it just breaks her. She's like, I've got to leave, or I'm gonna flip out on somebody, and I'm gonna finally do the stuff I've been afraid of doing all my life. So she leaves a note for her family and runs away. And in the last couple pages is seemingly about to jump off a bridge and kill herself because she's worried she can't control herself anymore. And then she finds, because she's in the same city the person was flying over when they exploded, she finds the person's locket. And there's like a picture of two kids in there, and it says, "Love them, protect them." And she decides not to kill herself, and apparently the story is going to be about her trying to find the flying woman's kids and save them from whatever's threatening them. It's a really interesting and really vague book. I would almost call this Tom King-esque for how it deals with mental illness. Yeah, just really hit me in a place I wasn't ever expecting to come from in a comic.
That's really cool. Sounds like a really interesting kind of indie book. I don't think you can get away with that in a Kate book, you know?
Yeah. It's a 4-issue mini, so I'm definitely going to keep up with it.
It sounds great. Sounds great. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go on to my pick for the second week, and also an indie book. This is Stealth from Short Fuse Media. This is something Mano sent to me, and so I am cheating a bit because I don't think it necessarily came out that week, but this was the week in which I could review it, so I'm counting it.
Fair enough.
So yeah, this is a really interesting book. I'll say right off the bat that the end dedicates it to Stefan Clark, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, and Ayanna Jones. So all victims of police brutality and part of what's like sparked the Black Lives Matter movement. And it is very much about that. It is about a superhero with super speed and strength who's living in a city and like doing the typical superhero stop criminals thing, but then actively starts to fight against police corruption. And that starts to cause a bunch of problems for him and causes the government to kind of turn on him and treat him as an enemy. And so there's a really interesting scene where, you know, he goes to kind of defend his name against a bunch of armed police officers during a protest and stuff, and he has to take on a SWAT team. And that just kind of like, he's kind of makes him public enemy number one, but it doesn't matter to him because he wants to actually fight for what's right. And, you know, it's pretty crazy, some of the stuff that you see him do. There's this moment where a cop is about to shoot a guy who's got his hands up, and Stealth comes in and stops the bullet and says, "That would have been murder." So it's like, it's a really politically charged book, really interesting, great art, great concept. I love the fact that Stealth's secret identity, I forget the name of the secret identity character, but he's a teacher and he's trying to talk with his class about all these current events and stuff. So a lot of interesting stuff in this book. the way Short Fuse works is they do Kickstarters for, I believe, each issue and for trades and stuff to get them printed. So I highly recommend picking up the book itself. And then if you like it, I'm planning to keep an eye on the project so I can back the next Kickstarter and get issue number 2 whenever that happens.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, really, really good book, though. Really blew me away because I didn't know what to expect. Manos didn't tell me anything about it when he sent it to me, and I was very, very pleased. All right, what you got for us for week 3?
Okay, so for week 3, kind of an obvious pick for me, but hey, I picked the last issue of Infidel. This was a really good summation of just everything this series has been about. Really strong horror moments, really interesting, just like showing the way we talk now and how that about issues and how that's kind of fucked up. There's some really sweet character moments, like this discussion between the main character and her best friend about the fact that she claims to really hate religion and faith, but she completely surrounds herself with people who are extremely religious because there's a part of her mind that still associates that with love from her childhood. There's, of course, as has been happening in this series constantly, there's a huge misunderstanding where someone is seen with a couple dead bodies and it's assumed, oh, you killed them. I'm gonna beat you up now. And the whole issue is just that person running from another person, essentially, with various flashbacks and flash forwards to things. The final scene of the series, where we're flashing forward to, I'm trying to find it, to the main character finally back in her own book, like a year or 2 later, having recovered from her injuries and won custody of her husband's child. She's kind of discussing with an imaginary friend version of her best friend who died earlier in the issue, like why she's currently doing what she's doing, why she's staying with her mother and constantly going over the case, because her mother is a very controlling, very religious person, and she doesn't essentially like living there, and she doesn't think it's a good environment for this child, but she can't afford to win custody for this child if she isn't getting the financial benefit she gets from living with her mother. And the whole discussion of that type of situation is really interesting. And it's just, I really like this book because it brings up and discusses a lot of concepts and ideas and issues like that we have in our current society, but it doesn't ever say, okay, this is definitively the way things should be, this is definitively the way they shouldn't be. It just says, this is where we are right now. It's kind of fucked up. Maybe we should try and fix it a little. Mm-hmm. And I really like that. That's exactly how I think a political commentary book should be.
Man, we're all kind of SJWs this week, aren't we?
We are.
Like yours is the only one that's like, or you've got the only pick that's like not really out there, but even then, it's still kind of like all commentary-y and stuff, man. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, on that train, let's go ahead and talk about Batman number 51. This is the continuation of Tom King's run. So Batman 50 was very closely tied with Captain America. I was just really happy with the first issue of Captain America. But Batman 50 like left an emotional scar on my heart. And so to go on to 51 and choose Freeze as the villain, I think was a really, really smart choice, as like, you know, the Freeze is this character who's very cold emotionally, but he's obsessed with someone that he loves and that he couldn't have anymore, and like all this stuff. So I feel like that's a really cool dynamic to put up against Batman. But then also to have this arc be about like the trust Batman puts into the criminal justice system in this country, and how a lot of that trust is probably misfounded, because I've heard stories of what serving on a jury is like, and it does not give me a ton of confidence. And so to have Bruce Wayne serve on the jury of a Batman-related trial, of Mr. Freeze is really, really interesting. And then I just
Is it
love
just me, or does this arc feel like King trying to do a smaller, more intimate discussion of the themes that White Knight was going on about?
I think so. I think that's a lot. I definitely think that's present. And I just love the cliffhanger ending here where the jury sat through the trial in like a couple pages. And then we get to the end here where they all deliberate and say, okay, just real quick, let's see where we're all at. And everyone thinks guilty except for Bruce Wayne. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
That is,
whoa.
I think that's like the most in character thing I've ever seen for Batman, though.
Mm-hmm. It really would be. Batman's highly self-critical a lot of the time, and so to see all these people just blindly trust him like that, I can totally see Batman, even removing the wedding thing, I can see Batman like going through this and being like, this too much trust to put in me. I really like that about it. So yeah, just a really interesting, neat story. I think it's going to be a 3-issue story arc, maybe 4. And it's really solid. Plus, Lee Weeks is back on the art here. Lee Weeks, of course, did the Batman Elmer Fudd issue with Tom
Such
King.
good art. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I really like all the angles that he picks because this is just a really interesting kind of angle to show of the jury deliberation room. There's a lot of stuff like that. Also,
he's probably tied with Clayman for my favorite artist on King's run so far.
They work really well together. Also, I was very excited that we got the Dick Knight returns.
Okay, so I like that in concept, but that page really ticked me off because it has two major things that in superhero things always are like pet peeves for me. Can I go on them real quick?
Go for it.
First, why is Dick saying his name when he's in costume fighting a villain? Isn't he supposed to have a secret identity? Second, why is he talking on the phone while fighting a like 300-pound crocodile man with teeth that could bite one of his limbs clean off? If it's dangerous enough to talk on the phone while you're driving a car, I don't think you should be talking on the phone while fighting a supervillain like that.
I mean, I talk on the phone when I wrestle alligators. You trying to say that I'm like not, taking my
All I'm
safety into
saying is
consideration?
safety first, dude.
No, you're right. Those are certainly pet peevey things. I don't know. It kind of goes with the whole casual superhero life kind of thing to a certain degree. Like, oh, hey, Dick, I can't be Batman this week because I'm on jury duty. Can you like take over for me? Oh yeah, sure, man. I'll cover your shift. It's fine.
I do love Gordon's reaction to him, though.
Yeah, it's like you're not him.
You're that utter him.
Yep. I like that. That was pretty good. I like seeing Gordon on the stand. King loves his 9-panel grids, so that was really cool too. Just I don't know, a lot of cool stuff in here. This page was really great.
Oh yeah, that is my favorite thing in the whole issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like that was just like, Bruce, I feel for you, buddy.
Yep, lots of interesting, good stuff going on in here.
Because I've been there when you're in a group of stupid people and you're having a hard time in other parts of your life, and you just have to walk out of the room and scream for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yep, pretty much. So lots of good in here. Really, really solid issue. How about you, sir?
All right, so my pick for the final week of this month was kind of a surprise for me because I wasn't even really expecting to pick this up, but I kind of flipped through it at the comic shop and was like, you know what, why not? So I pick Mr. and Mrs. X #1. This is the new Rogue and Gambit ongoing now that they're a married couple, and the first half of this book is just showing their wedding and them getting ready for it, and it's really interesting and really cute. And for the first time in comics for me, I really felt like, oh, this is the X-Men as a family. Because people always say that, oh, the X-Men are like a family. They're this big group of people that come around from all these different backgrounds, and they really get along and love each other because of this one thing they have in common. I've never really gotten that from an X-Men comic till now. And it's just really cute seeing everybody trying to get all the little things you need for a wedding together, and having banter with each other. Like there's this one great page where Iceman and Nightcrawler are going like, just so we're clear, I'm not on the girls' team because I'm gay. It's because I don't want to be on Team Gambit. But why are you on this team? I'm her brother, and also I don't want to be on Team Gambit. There's a really sweet moment here that's also kind of like poking fun at the nature of X-Men comics and comic book weddings, where Mystique shows up because she wants to be present for her daughter's wedding, and Rogue kind of pulls her aside and is like, so just so we're clear, you're not going to like kidnap me or knock me out and turn into me and sleep with Remy to teach me a lesson or something. And she's like, no, I think I'm gonna be good today. A really neat kind of continuity pull is Rogue wears a power dampening collar for the whole wedding because she wants to be actually able to kiss her husband on her wedding day and, of course, sleep with him on the honeymoon. And there's a lot of discussion about the technology behind that and like how it gives you a headache and it's really bulky and like odd to wear. And Rogue even has this exchange with Beast where it's like, why isn't this available in like the size of a tennis bracelet? Or can they at least figure out a way to make the pain go away? And Beast is like, I wonder why we haven't done that yet. I wonder why we haven't improved the technology that literally makes mutants not mutants anymore. So yeah, the beginning of this book is just really cute and fun and like getting to know this couple if you're not familiar with them. And then a crazy space fight happens, as you do in X-Men comics. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep up with this. I'm going to at least read the next issue, but this was really cute and fun. I liked it a lot.
That sounds good. I like the idea of a more chilled and laid back X-Men kind of thing, because I swear, man, I could go for the X-Men television series where Magneto never shows up. No one's ever like seriously hurt or there's a really big fight. It's just, high school drama kind of thing.
Yes.
I could go for that series.
CW, get on that.
Yeah, CW. Don't make it crap, though.
Well then, Disney Channel, get on. No, early 2000s Disney Channel, get on that.
Exactly. Yeah, I could see it. All right, so I'm going to go on to my last pick for July, and that is Wonder Woman number 51. Oh, definitely. Steve Orlando took over Wonder Woman after issue 50.
This is Orlando now.
Yeah. Robinson left at issue 50, and so just on the fact that there's a new writer who actually seems to give a damn, that's good. Also, this issue is a fantastic Wonder Woman one and done story.
Cool.
This could easily fit into like the greatest Wonder Woman stories ever told kind of thing. Just because it has little to no dependence on anything else. Like right at the beginning, they say, oh, this happened all the way back in Wonder Woman, like number 21. It doesn't matter. It could be any generic Wonder Woman villain Wonder Woman has to fight that starts off the story. It's such a good like look at just the lengths to which Diana goes for a person. Any person, even someone who shot her, like, think about like the act of shooting Wonder Woman. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So this woman shot Diana, and yet Diana's willing to go through all of this for her. And there's just this absolutely stunning moment that gets me where, they seem to be developing more of a camaraderie, a friendship kind of thing. But then Wonder Woman says a thing that makes her kind of like jump back and snap at her, and she hits her and says, I admit we're not totally different, and suddenly you think you can say whatever you want, regretting letting them have my powers, princess. And Wonder Woman says, no, after this long, Moon, I respect you, but I do not fear you. And she has this reaction of like respect. I just love the way that face is drawn. You flip the page, and it's this complete shocked reaction of, damn it. I'm sorry, Diana. Sorry it took me so damn long, but I'm listening. And Wonder Woman literally opens her arms to you and says, "It took only as long as it needed to." And that is just such an utterly touching moment, and it gives you exactly the kind of person that Wonder Woman is and why she's an inspiration and why Wonder Woman doesn't have an extensive rogues gallery, because this is how she treats her enemies. And so it's just really, really sweet, really, really solid moment. If you're ever like, been wondering what Wonder Woman's like as a character, you've never really read her extensively and stuff before, this is a great place to start. This is a great issue to jump on.
Interesting. So, yeah. I might have to pick that up at the shop next week.
Yeah, if you get the chance, if they still got it on the stands, I definitely recommend it. There were 2 covers for this, the A and the B cover, and both of them were really, really good and at the same price. The other one was Wonder Woman with the blindfold on and the Scales of Justice. I'm like,
oh, damn, that's a great idea.
Yeah, both of them were really good, but I was like, you know what? I do really like the color choice on this cover, so I ended up sticking with this one, but they're both really solid covers.
Yeah, Orlando's one of those writers who's like real hit and miss. Like parts of his Supergirl are just awful, and then he has like a few one and dones that are phenomenal. Like I know you read issue 19, but if he's gonna be doing a decent little run on Wonder Woman, I might have to look into that.
Yeah, I think he's only here till like issue 58, and I'm really hoping that all he does is just standalones or maybe 1 to 2 issue stories, because 1, we just need more of that in comics anyway, and 2, he's apparently very good at it.
Nice.
Yep.
All
right, sir.
Well, I guess I'll just flash up my honorable mention real quick because we've already talked about it extensively. It's Batman 51. Great issue. Nice. I loved it.
Cool.
It wasn't good enough to be my pick for that week, but it is really good.
That's cool. That's totally understandable. I'm going to go ahead and say my honorable mention is Superman #1, because Bendis is here, baby. Yes. Yeah, I really did like this issue. There's just a lot of cool stuff. I can't remember what week it came out, but I knew there was just something better that week. It's just so cool. We get all the craziness. We get the beginning of the Fortress of Solitude at the Bermuda Triangle. That's really cool. I'm excited for all that stuff. I love the sense of Clark Kent in the Daily Planet has to like monitor his own ego when he writes about Superman. Yeah. That was really fun. And yeah, there's just a lot of cool stuff in here. I'm really curious about what the Martian Manhunter scene means, but I love the way the Martian Manhunter scene works. Yeah. Like that could just be a short Superman film. Just like, hold on 1 second. Hold that thought. And it just goes and does something incredible, and it's just super cool.
I really loved those scenes in the apartment where he's just thinking about Lois and John, and you're getting those little flashbacks. That was almost like heartbreaking stuff there.
Yeah, I agree. Then we get also a really great cliffhanger of Rogol Zaar as someone has somehow put the Earth inside the Phantom Zone. So that's cool as shit. This dude is a bit of a lasting powerhouse of a villain. So yeah, solid issue, but there's just something a little bit better that week.
By the way, can I just say that I will really appreciate Bendis for setting up both books in Man of Steel, but making Action and Superman 2 completely different stories that are clearly not happening at the same time as each other.
Yeah, that's
so you don't really have to read both books. I mean, I'm gonna, but we don't have to.
Yeah, it's like you're praising him for the thing that doesn't even matter to you. Yeah. That was a really good choice too. All right, what do you got for best cover?
My best cover is Saga Chapter 54. Probably one of the most evocative and simultaneously completely indicative of what's on the inside covers I have ever seen. It's just completely red all the way through, and they use so much red ink that you see those little lines there. The book looks like it's actually blood soaked, which is crazy. And there's just the red is so strong you can't even see the logo. It is there, but you can't see the logo unless you get like really close to it and look. Like You can maybe
Oh,
barely make
yep,
it
yep.
out.
There it goes. It came through.
And this issue was just heartrending. Like almost made it to book of the month for me, kind of stuff here. But I won't really get into it because it's major spoilers if you haven't read the series.
Nice. Okay. Well, that was a really touching and interesting analysis of a really intelligently put together cover.
Mhm.
Cosmic Ghost Rider looks really fucking cool.
It does. It does. I'm not going to keep up with that book, but I bought that issue just for the cover.
It's so stupid, but it's so cool.
Oh my god.
Like, this is